still remember that.
Why is it so fine for you?
I don't know. It was the feeling and the music, and I can't explain it. You know. It's
Good. Some things you can't explain. Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of people tonight who were driven back to these days, and
yeah, but you know what? That's a trap. You know what a trap is?
Yeah, I know.
Right. It's a trap. Past, tomorrow, future.
But even then, you did songs from that.
We did that deliberately because we've never played in Germany, you know,
Yeah.
and we owe it to the people that love our music to play some of those songs, you know.
So would you say that a song like Chicago doesn't mean anything today?
It means more today than ever. That's why we sing those songs. The thing I was singing about in Chicago is still true today. You cannot chain a man and put a gag around his mouth and sit him in a dock and call it a fair trial.
So I wouldn't say it's a trap then. I mean...
No.
You see...
Thinking about the past all the time is a trap. Thinking that all we ever did was Woodstock is a trap.
Yeah.
Our music means as much today as it did then. The things we speak about still go on. When Crosby sings Long Time Gone, peace in the world is a long time coming, you know?
Yeah.
When we speak about Chicago and how unfair governments treat people, it's still the same today.
So you've always been looked at one of the most prominent hippies, but I know there was a thing called the yippies. Would you say that you're still a yippie?
No. I have never thought of myself in any other terms than being a creative artist that reflects what's going on around him. You can call me a hippie, you can call me a yippie. I don't care what you call me. Come to my concerts.
Don't you think it's strange playing one side on the Hollies, the other side with Crosby, Stills and Nash? Well, the music more or less is very different.
Very different.
So I think it must be a very strange feeling playing both sides.
I understand what you mean, and a part of me believes that it's all music, right?
Yeah.
The Hollies played songs that were maybe this deep.
Mm-hmm.
Crosby, Stills and Nash play songs that are this deep. But it doesn't mean that people can't have a good time dancing around to Hollie's music. And as I explained to the last gentleman, I am attempting to bring the Hollies into the 1980s and make them a vehicle for statements that need to be made. Normally, you write a song and you get your band to do it. Now on this album I didn't write any songs because it was a quandary to me. I'm different than they are. How do I bring them towards me? How do I move towards them? Right? And as I told Stefan, was that his name? Yeah, as I told Stefan, there are many ways to do that. I don't have to write the songs. What I discovered how to do was to make the Hollies songs mean something different than they do on first appearances. And a particular example is with the new single, Stop in the Name of Love. Mm-hmm. We have made a video in America that goes with the single that totally changes the meaning of the song Stop in the Name of Love. Totally changes it. Brings the Hollies into the 1980s, makes them more aware politically of what's going on in the world. And I think this video will change people's minds about how to listen to the Hollies music.
It's quite a long way from 1962 up to now. It's 20 years. Do you still remember these old days, and are you a bit sad when you think back on these things?
No, absolutely not. Of course, in one's life, one thinks back to how you've run your life, what you did 20 years ago. I am not sad for anything. I am only glad that I'm still here. I am glad that I am still a creative musician. I am glad that I still can affect the way people think. I am glad about lots of things. I have no time to be sad about the past. There's nothing I can do about the past.
Well, maybe it was wrong to say sad about, but...
I don't even think about it. I'm too busy thinking about what I'm doing right now, what I'm going to do tomorrow, and what I'm going to do in the future. You must believe me, I do not think about the past. If I spent time thinking about my past, I wouldn't have time to talk to you. I'd be thinking about what I did 20 years ago. It's worthless. What happened before is gone. You know? I can only think about what's happening tomorrow, man.
So you even you can't even consider to do a song like Bus Stop again?
Absolutely. Yes. But what's that got to do with the past?
Well, it was one of the greatest hits the Hollies ever had.
So was Beethoven's Fifth.
That's true, yeah.
You think any orchestra is going to sit there going, da-da-da-da, oh boy, this was past, man, this shitty. Of course not. You bring life to it. You make it mean more. You bring it into the future. You play it differently. You sing it differently.
Right. Being here in Germany for the first time.
It's not the first time I've been to Germany.
Playing with Crosby, Stills and Nash.
That's the first time, yeah.
Do you think that the German people are more open to political changes than they are in America?
I believe so, and I'll tell you why. For a great many years now, the anti-nuclear movement in America has looked upon the anti-nuke movement in Europe with great respect. It seems to me that the main difference between America and Europe is very simple. America has never been bombed. There have never been bombs dropped on Philadelphia, on New York, on Los Angeles, but most of Europe has been wiped out twice. We have known bombs, and I'm speaking as a European now, for the last 80 years. There is a big difference when you can wake up in the morning and go to work and come back from work and find your house and your family gone permanently. It affects the way people deal with future wars. I don't believe that people in Europe will tolerate another war. I think that people in Europe know the true horror of war, as the people in Nagasaki and Hiroshima do. And I believe that's the main difference between the movements in America and in Europe. I think that people in America should get more serious about it. I think we should get more people on the streets. I think we should emulate the European movement that has gotten... You must understand, when Germany gets 400,000 people marching, right? It gets to the papers in America. You know, we read about that all the time. When we found out that 300,000 people in Romania marched, that's a communist country, for God's sake. They were led by their premier, right? When we read that people in Austria spent $1.6 billion on a nuclear plant and said no. In America, we take great strength from that. We think, wow, if Austria can do it, surely we in America can do it. We have a fight right now in California against a nuclear power plant called Diablo Canyon. And for 15 years, the people that were very small in number at first, and now are many more, right, have stopped that power plant from going online. We take great pride in the European movement. You must tell all the people that you know that It does not go unnoticed in America.
What I always wonder about is, you're British, and, well, you were born British.
Yes.
And you live in America.
Yes.
To me, it always seems that the British and the Americans are not like brothers, but like two really wholly different people.
Absolutely.
So, how does a British man feel in America, living there? I mean, it must be very strange, or it must have been very strange first.
No, I never found it strange. I must tell you, I never found it strange.
Did it enrich you with your music?
Oh, unbelievably so. You must understand, in 1968, when I left the Hollies, I was feeling creatively stifled, oppressed. I was feeling personally oppressed. When I went to America, people wanted to know what I think. They wanted to sing with me. They wanted me to sing with them. They wanted me to express my ideas. I found incredible creative freedom in America. And I believe that most people in England would like to live that way. But they have been trained not to do that. They have been trained to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, to work all the way through the day, go home, watch TV, and die at 65. Right? We were the first generation of young people to not do what my father did, what his father did, what his father's father did, and what his great-grandfather did, you know, which was to fall for the trip of working for somebody else all your life and getting a gold watch at 65 and then dying. No, not for me. And when I came to America, I felt free for the first time in my life.
I would like to recall some of history. So, to me always, the early Hollies seemed a bit folk-influenced.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder where actually your real musical roots lie.
I don't know. I've asked myself the same question. Because when I write Teach Your Children, which is really a country song, when I write Wasted on the Way, which is really a folk song, country song, you know, I say, God, where does this come from in me? I don't know.
So in your family there has never been a singer or
No,
father?
never. I was the only one.
And you've never been to a folk club maybe? Or
I've been to many folk clubs. I've listened to many records. Of course, absolutely. In fact, I figured out that a friend of mine who used to work in the post office in England, when I used to work in the post office, used to bring me records of the Louvin Brothers, Big Bill Brunsey, Hank Williams, you know, and I realized that he may have influenced my music more than anybody I know.
would you say, I'm coming back now to nowadays, would you say that Crosby, Stills and Nash have changed musically from Woodstock to now? Because to me the feeling is the same. So I can't really say.
It's a very difficult question to ask, you know, because obviously when you look back at the last 20 years, you can see very definite styles of music, from folk, skiffle, rock, punk, new wave, electronic, or God knows whatever's going to happen. Crosby, Stills and Nash, thank God, have always had at the center of their music the fact that a song must have a great reason to exist, it must have a greater reason to be recorded, and that we must contact the heart of and soul of people rather than follow a fashion of music. So we are still playing guitars and playing drums and playing bass and singing, right? And that may not have changed. We have definitely not changed the idea that we must reach people emotionally for to have any effect.
Is it right to... Yeah, last question.
Finish, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, to end that, would you say that you use the music to get the words flowing into people's mind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's very important to not just have a pretty melody. It has to be well recorded. It has to be a beautiful melody. It has to have words that people can think. Because there's no time anymore to fool around. You know, this planet may only exist for the next 10 years. Who knows? You know, there's no time to fool around anymore.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Uwe. Thank you.